Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Constantinide and I hope that you're happy and you're healthy. Today I am bringing you another real crime story, a very interesting case which is known by the media as Dr. Death. Dr. Death, also known as Shipman, his name was Harold Shipman. The Manchester police in June 1998 started an investigation following the death of one of his patients. This patient's name is called Mrs. Grundy. Mrs. Grundy was 81 years old and she had enjoyed a relatively good and healthy lifestyle, and her death was unexpected and sudden. Her daughter, which her name is Mrs. Angela, she was a practicing solicitor, and since she's been ever so qualified, she was the one conducting the legal work on behalf of the mother. In 1986, she drafted and prepared the will on behalf of the mother, making her the sole beneficiary of her estate. On the 24th of June, Mrs. Grundy passed away, she died, and her doctor, Shipman, he cited on the death certificate as old age. The daughter became suspicious and she went and deepened her investigation, her suspicion, by querying two of Shipman's patients that Shipman appeared to be the witness on the will. Now, the will was drafted and prepared by Shipman, and the covering letter was sent to another firm of solicitors. Later on, they received also the cause of the death that they realised they were signed by the same person. A warrant for the exhumation of Mrs. Grundy's body was issued, which took place on the 1st of August 1998, and at the same time a warrant was issued for the police to go to his home address but also to his surgery to search the area for any evidence. And they found a typewriter, which is essentially what they used to type the wills on, and the medical records of Mrs. Grundy. Upon examining the body on first instance, they didn't find anything suspicious, and they decided to proceed by conducting toxicological tests. On the first toxicological test, and I have here my notes, they found the presence of opiate, which is possibly morphine. But further tests was actually carried to be able to determine the type of opiate and the level. When the police visited his surgery in order to get his account, it became clear that there were previous convictions. And this is a person who is a doctor, highly respectable in the community, and he was in a position of trust. Now, in 1975, Shipman pleaded guilty to Halifax Magistrates Court in relation to 3 offences of obtaining pethidine by deception, 3 offences of unlawful possession of pethidine, and 2 further offences of forging a prescription. He had pleaded guilty to those offences, and his conviction was a fine and a compensation. Now, what did you expect that the General Medical Council would do? The General Medical Council decided that no further disciplinary action is to be taken. And I found here a quote as to what the letter said, what that was sent to Shipman. And he said, "The committee instructed me to inform you that they take a grave view of offences arising out of an abuse of drugs and of offences involving dishonesty. You would therefore be wise to assume that, if information relating to any further conviction of a similar nature should be received by the Council, a charge would then be formulated against you on the basis of both the earlier and the later convictions and referred to the disciplinary committee of the Council for inquiry." The Home Office imposed no prohibition following from this letter. Shipman was charged with 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forging Mrs. Grundy's will. During his trial, Shipman disputed and pleaded not guilty to the charges, and he was disputing the facts. Expert evidence were brought into court, and it was Dr. Grenwell that he said in his evidence that the treatment was inappropriate. So the sticky point was that the death took place in the doctor's presence, which gave rise to a high degree of suspicions, and the death was sudden and unexpected. Now, after a 6 day of deliberation of the jurors, so for those who do not practice law, you don't know, once the trial is concluded, and in the UK we do have jurors, that means that there's 12 independent, impartial people, lay people, which means normal people from different and variety of backgrounds, they retire from the court and they go to decide whether that person is guilty or not by what they heard in the courtroom, the evidence, the oral evidence, and of course whatever exhibits is attached to this evidence is being provided. So they retired 6 days after lengthy deliberations on the 31st of January 2000. They've convicted Shipman to all counts. He was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment, and for the forgery a concurrent term of 4 years of imprisonment. Now, when sentencing, the trial judge, Mr. Justice Forbes, he stated that the recommendation to the Home Secretary, it would be that Shipman should spend the remainder of his days in prison. Whilst the trial was ongoing and it was at the end concluded, the police carried on with the investigation in 3 other cases that did not form part of the indictment at the trial. So what happened is that they begun an inquiry for 888 cases. At this inquiry, they provided a written decision for 494, in which 394 there were compelling evidence that Shipman was not responsible for the death. I've cited here the Appendix G from the inquiry that provides with the outcome. The inquiry produces the name of the disease, the death, the date of the death, the inquiry decision, whether it was a natural death or unlawful killing, the volume, which means which report it was cited, and of course the page number. And you can see it at the end of the report that provides who did Shipman murder. 2020, you may be wondering, what is Mr. Shipman doing? Mr. Shipman went to prison after the trial, but in 2004 he had committed suicide by hanging himself with the bedsheets in the cell. At 6:20 in the morning, which was the day before his 50th birthday, he was found dead, and he was pronounced dead at 8:20 in the morning. During his imprisonment, he had denied that he committed those offences, and he denied categorically that the evidence, the way that the trial was conducted, that it was fair. He said that the evidence, the scientific evidence against him, were disputed, which made him the first doctor in the British medical history to be convicted for murder. And a Shipman inquiry was set up because of this, but most importantly in the medical history it exists, and there is what's called the Shipman effect, which erases the duty of care, and you would see that since then the doctors under-describe morphine or any painkillers essentially because of the Shipman effect. If you were the defence counsel, what would be your defence apart from disputing the facts? I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you are well, and I'm waiting for you next week for the next video. Whatever you do, stay happy, healthy, and most importantly, contribute positively to your community. Just spread love, peace, and calmness. I love you loads. Take care. Bye bye.